Boy, have I got an interesting video for you today, my friends. The origins of twin flames. hmm Where did this whole thing come from? There's kind of two avenues that we are going to explore because there's a real phenomenon, like you guys always hear me saying, there's a real phenomenon. And then there's the kind of mythical new age version, which isn't real. And they call it twin flames. So we're going to talk about where this whole thing came from in the first place, and it goes all the way back to the year 1886. Yep. I've got some interesting things to share with you today. Side note, apologies for my appearance. I usually try to wear like a nice shirt and shave a little better and for these videos to present a professional appearance, but I hurt my ankle. I fell and I sprained it really bad. I can't walk on it. It's probably going to be weeks before I can walk on it again. So I'm kind of just not really feeling the effort lately. I don't think you guys care. But okay, so here's the deal, guys. You meet this person if and it's beautiful at the beginning. There's the little bubble phase, right? And then after somewhere between 4 and 8 weeks, they pull away, they run away, your twin flame, and you crash and burn. And then at some point during this dark period, they call it Dark Night of the Soul, all kinds of crazy paranormal experiences start to happen. If you really met what I call a twin flame, or a simultaneous incarnation, like reincarnation, right? So, Kundalini, psychic experiences, real psychic experiences, they come through the heart. It's this weird, eerie knowing about future events, and very important, said future events come true 100% of the time. So, it's not some prophecy that you're making that doesn't come true. And again, it comes through the heart, guys. This psychic intuition. This is a very well studied phenomenon. I've already shared with you researchers such as Julia Mossbridge, who is a funded researcher. I'll link one of her videos down below for you. She's a funded researcher that looks at ESP and other paranormal phenomenon. And then, you've got remote viewing. That's very well studied. Now that does tend to come more through here, right? It's more structured, but this, guys, intuition in the heart, this is what I'm talking about. And it happens to everybody that has this experience. You meet this person, right? And you're supposed to be the same soul, right? That's what everybody says, right? So it's spiritual. You're having these spiritual experiences. Again, Kundalini, psychic intuition, which keeps coming true. It's 100% accurate. It happens lots of times. It's this weird knowing, has this deja vu like quality, right? You could be having out of body experiences, non dual merging with God, right? A spontaneous spiritual awakening. So here's this again, just in case you're kind of maybe new to my channel and you haven't seen me mention this. Again, even psychologists, these are psychologists that wrote this research paper. This is a peer-reviewed research paper from a couple of psychologists speaking to the phenomenon of spontaneous spiritual awakenings. So again, this happens a lot more often as the result of some other catalyzing event, some other trigger, like a near-death experience, recovering from a terminal illness, everything in your life kind of falling apart. Eckhart Tolle, right? He had a spontaneous awakening. His was triggered by anxiety, life circumstances, stuff like this. So meeting this person who we call twin flame, who is supposed to be another incarnation of your soul, right? uh, is just one way to trigger this type of highly paranormal awakening. Again, all the weird stuff that I just talked about with you. Kundalini, leaving your body, psychic intuition, 100% accurate. It happens a lot of times and it keeps coming true 100% of the time. It's this weird, eerie knowing. I have to keep saying that because people always add things like, oh, yeah, I heard somebody talking to me in my head, and it's just their monkey mind. That's not what I'm talking about, guys. I'm talking about real ESP. Again, here, I'll just show this to you real quick. Just go to the Closer to Truth YouTube channel and you go to videos and you can click in here in the little search. And I just typed in Julia and it'll pull up this interview that Robert Lawrence Kuhn did with Julia Mossbridge. And there's lots of people, guys, lots of people that do research like this. There's the University of Virginia, the Monroe Institute, etc. She's just one person who I noticed, and I happen to use this YouTube channel as a resource often because he talks about this kind of stuff. He talks to the best minds in physics and psychology. This YouTube channel, here he is talking to Roger Penrose, and if you know who that is, then you should know already that the narrator of this YouTube channel is pretty well connected. And here he is talking to a funded researcher who looks at paranormal phenomenon, ESP, and this type of thing. And again, I know I've shared these things with you a lot recently, but I'm just kind of bringing anybody up to date who's new here, and then we'll get to the meat of this video. But yeah, no, this is real, guys. Like there's people doing legitimate research onto these types of experiences. And again, it's highly unusual. You meet this person and it triggers this spontaneous awakening. Interesting. By the way, in case you're new here, look at this. They use the word union. Really? Yes, really. And they're not talking about twin flames in this research paper, guys. They're just talking about anybody that has a spontaneous awakening. And that's kind of one of the things that we're going to need to talk about in today's video is those words, because I cannot seem to find a good explanation as to where using those words in the context of twin flames came from. I can find all kinds of other stuff about twin flames, but none of it mentions the words union or separation in the context of a relationship status. Now, what I have talked about at length is where those words really came from, and I'll share that with you right now. So if you go to my YouTube channel, the homepage, this video right here, twin flames, separation consciousness, unity consciousness, and detaching. If you go to my homepage and it's not there, sometimes YouTube rotates what videos show up. You can kind of just scroll down, and there's this playlist here called The True Twin Flame Teachings. It's the very first video. And what this video is about, guys, is I explain how the words separation, union, and detaching come from the Zen traditions, not twin flames. If you go to Google and type in Ram Dass separation, here, I'll show you. Just go to Google. And Ram Dass, right? He was one of the pretty well-known spiritual teachers from the 1960s, right? He's going to be all talking about the mind and how the mind perceives itself to be separate from God and from everything, right? So this is one of the fundamental teachings of genuine spiritualism, transcendental spiritualism, not the New Age stuff, right? Also, the word union or unity. Ram Dass, what does union feel like in the moment? And he's going to be talking about, look, we try so hard to overcome separateness with others in the moment. What? What is he talking about? Yeah, these are states of consciousness, guys. Even the stupid Google AI gets it right. Look at this. Union for Ram Dass refers to coming into a state of oneness or unity with the divine, which that's not even for Ram Dass. It's for anybody. It's so well known that these two psychology people are using the word union in the context of a complete non-dual merging with everything, because that's what that word originally meant. What had to have happened is somebody who thinks they met their twin flame borrowed those teachings and applied it to their twin flame situation, and it worked. When you go beyond the separation of mind and align with your soul, remember your twin flame is your soul, right? They come back. That's union. It's a state of consciousness, not a relationship status, but you can use those teachings from the Zen traditions and apply them to your twin flame situation, but they're not relationship statuses. They're states of consciousness, but they work. They work for twin flames. And this is essentially what I teach my students. I've coached 7,000 people. I've got more people than anybody else that I've helped to be with their twin, guys. More than anybody. There's this playlist here, twin flame success stories, people that are married to their twin flame, and so on. So, where did this whole phenomenon of twin flames come from? That has been my question. Because we're using those words, and I'm going, okay, well, somebody figured this out, right? And there's got to be a book or something, a magazine, some piece of literature from the past where somebody figured out, hey, this is just the teachings of transcendentalism. You go beyond mind, align with your soul, and your soul, your twin flame, they come back. And it keeps working, guys. Like I said, I've helped thousands. I'm getting a result. And they'll tell you themselves, like, yeah, like you actually feel some kind of a shift internally. Your twin flame comes back. And they've got no idea that you felt some kind of a shift. And this is why I'm saying, like, my goal ultimately is to put this phenomenon in front of one of these organizations, right, that study paranormal phenomenon, like the ones I was just showing you, Julia Mossbridge, I had mentioned the Monroe Institute. There's people that look at this kind of stuff, guys. And I'm going to get somebody to take this seriously. Somebody will, right? And I can understand why people don't want to take this seriously right now, which is one of the things we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this. So remember at the beginning of the video, I said there's kind of two avenues that we have to explore. And I'm exploring this first one where what seems to be going on is you've met somebody who, yeah, they are the same soul as you. Because again, what I can do, and I've experienced this, there's lots of people I know you're watching that have experienced this. My students, you can go watch their interviews. What happens is, you feel for this person, you're attached to them. You're not detached. There's that word. You're in separation, which is not a relationship status. What I mean is there's me and there's my twin flame, and that makes a we. We are separate. And the mind is going, what do I do? Well, one day you get out of bed, because let me back up. The mind is going, what do I do to get them to come back? There's me and there's them. What do I got to do to get them to come back? But your starting point is the belief that you're separate. Okay. One day you get out of bed and you feel at peace. And the person, you've really just kind of let them go. You get out of bed one day and you're like, you know what? Heck with it. I'm done. I don't need this person anymore. I don't love them. I don't hate them. I don't know. I feel free. I feel good. And you even maybe feel connected to God and to everything. Unity consciousness. Now, what happened? Well, what happened was you were never attached to your other self, your twin flame, this person that we call twin flame. You were never really attached to them. You got out of bed one day and you went beyond the separation of mind. Because if there's me and there's you, and that's a we, I can get attached to you. But if I go beyond mind, if I experience oneness with all, then I feel nothing for the person because I am them. and I am everything. And I was never attached in the first place. That's detaching. Now, something interesting happens. Every person that's ever had this experience, where, first of all, to start with, you're chasing the person, you're concerned about how to get them to come back. And then one day you get out of bed and you have this shift, this experience of letting them go, of feeling connected to all. And instantly they contact you or they unblock you and they start stalking you on social media. And their behavior is completely different. Like they actually are interested in you again. Whereas before, they were rejecting you, you were chasing them, you were focusing on them, separation, the mind, it says there's a them. You're focusing on them and they're rejecting you, they're ghosting you, they're blocking you, they got you in the friend zone. And again, this event takes place, you get out of bed and you go, I'm done. Thank you, God. And you feel at peace. You don't love your twin flame. You don't hate them. You're just, I'm done. I'm done. I'm free. I don't feel bad about it, good about it, nothing. I'm just moving on. And all is well. All is one. And that's when they contact you. That's when their behavior changes. And remember, they don't have any idea that you had this shift. This happens a lot. This is a real test that I'll give to my students, among other things, to figure out if this is really their twin flame or what we seem to be calling a twin flame. Now, what's interesting about that, you guys, is there is a cause and effect going on there, which means potentially you could conduct some kind of controlled scientific experiment. I mean, that's really what that is. It's no different than the paranormal researcher who so they've done this where they have like two petri dishes and they put some kind of organic biological material from the same plant or animal. They split it in half, put them in two petri dishes, right? And they keep them under a microscope so that you can see at what's going on at the cellular level, right? And you take this petri dish and put it in another building down the street and keep it under observation. Now, the first petri dish here, you've got people that focus anger and sadness on it. And the cells in the other petri dish down the street in another building become disheveled and disorganized. But then, when the researchers have the group on the first petri dish focus love on the petri dish, the one down the street becomes organized and structured. It's responding. And the researchers are like, how is that even possible? Yeah, because they're connected somehow. They're not separate. There's information that they're sharing, some kind of telepathic information or something like that. There's another study. I'll link it for you down below. It was on the Shawn Ryan show. And the link, I'm going to put the link. It's a special link that has the correct timestamp. It's the Shawn Ryan interview. And he talks to a gentleman who describes this study that they've done thousands of times. They keep getting the same results. They've done it all. They've duplicated it all over the world, where you get people to respond to stimuli before the stimuli is shown to them. And they're using computers to do it because the response time is so small, but still you can measure it. The computer, computers these days are faster. It's easier to measure stuff like that. And they get the same results every time. People respond to certain stimuli ahead of seeing the stimuli. How is that even possible? Right? And it's not only demonstrating that, yeah, there's this ability that we have, but consciousness is non-local. It's coming from out there somewhere. It's a pretty fascinating experiment that they did. And again, they've duplicated it thousands of times all over the world. Again, I'll link it down below for you with the correct timestamp. So if you click the link I put, it'll take you right to the part in the video where they start talking about this experiment. So you guys, the jig is up. There's lots of evidence for this kind of stuff. And here I am having this experience. I met my twin flame. I guess that's what we're calling it. Again, we're going to talk about that. I met my twin flame. Is that what it is? And yeah, I had the same thing. There was a cause and effect. I shifted and she responded instantly. And I've talked to thousands of people over the last 7 years, guys, and lots of people are having that experience. And again, the spontaneous awakening, which again, that is a known phenomenon. That's not made up. Even psychologists are at least having a conversation about it. So there's something going on here, guys. You don't just meet somebody and have these types of experiences. But what is it? And I don't think it's unreasonable to say that you are the same soul because of the detaching test that I just explained to you, where you, again, your twin flame, they're rejecting you. They don't want to have anything to do with you. They got you in the friend zone, right? They got you blocked, maybe. And you get out of bed one day, you have this shift, unbeknownst to them, and instantly they respond to it. Their behavior changes. They want you all of a sudden. Hmm. And what did you do? What was the shift? You went beyond mind. It was spiritual. We're supposed to be the same soul, the same spirit. And then there's the twin flame push pull. I'm not going to get into that. I'll just link my What Are Twin Flames video down below for you. It's the second law of thermodynamics. What seems to be going on is your twin flame is one of your past lives. It's just reincarnation, right? So time is not really linear. When you do the thing that we call die, you go back up to this higher plane, right? That's what everybody says. And modern physics is proving out the fact that there are higher planes. Yes, we don't know how high they go, but if they go up forever and ever, eventually, I don't know, maybe you would get to the one that we now call heaven. But science has demonstrated that there are higher planes. Yes, they haven't exactly proven the existence of heaven, at least not physics. I suppose anybody that researches reincarnation or near death experiences would beg to differ as to whether or not there's evidence. Um, Reincarnation stories, you hear stuff like this. There's people that look into this stuff, guys. So, if there's no time on these higher planes, you can access any point in time, past or future, from up there, you guys, when you go back up to heaven. That's supposedly how that would work. Again, perhaps my scientific connections are dubious. I guess it depends on who you ask. There's plenty of people on the Closer to Truth YouTube channel that I was just showing you who might think this is interesting. But in theory, yes, that's how that would work. If it is true you go up to a higher plane when you die, yes, there would not be time. That is true. That is how that would work if that was true. So, your twin flame, a long time from now, hopefully, right? When they leave their body, when they die, they go back up. They can reincarnate. They can go back to your birth year and be born in that year. And you guys are supposed to be the same soul, right? Another interesting thing is it explains the push pull. Again, go watch my video called What Are Twin Flames? I will link it down below for you. It's also on my Twin Flame Science playlist. What are twin flames? And I explain in more depth everything that I just kind of explained to you right now. The push pull with your twin flame can best be explained by the second law of thermodynamics. Well, anyway, so this is the mystery. I'm looking at all the evidence. So I just categorically explained to you in kind of a crash course on why I think there's something here to be discussed. There is something going on here. There is something to this. Where you can even get a cause and effect. You can get some kind of a measurable result, and it works every time. It's happening to a lot of people. A lot of people. And they're getting the same result. You guys, That's the scientific method. More or less, if I'm doing something the same every time and getting the same result every time, there's something there to be talked about. And again, we can explain, there is a rational explanation for how these things would work. That's kind of been what I've been up here doing for the last 7 years, going, well, gosh, guys, if this is real, and I'm finding rational explanations. Your twin flame is one of your past lives. You guys could be the same soul. You really could meet somebody who is the same soul as you. Yeah, it's theoretically possible. That's my hypothesis anyway. Okay. Now enter Elizabeth Clare Prophet. I read this book 7 years ago, and she wasn't the first person to ever talk about twin flames, but she popularized it. And it turns out what she popularized was the kind of pop culture, new age woo woo version that you guys always hear me warning you about on the internet, right? I'm always going, watch out, guys. They're telling you to do some crazy things. She'll talk to you about your mission and how the masculine's going to awaken and you're going to go on your mission together and you got to do some healing and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, this is where that stuff came from. And her and her husband, Mark Prophet, um, you know, seemed to have loved each other very much, um, which is kind of a conventional soulmate dynamic. You guys have heard me talk about that before too. How do you tell? Like you see these people on YouTube, for example, who say, "Hi, I'm divine masculine. Hi, I'm divine feminine. We are twin flames," right? And you're looking at them and you're like, "Are you though? Are you guys?" Huh, how do you tell? And I've made videos about that. I won't rehash it too much here, but if you go to my True Twin Flame Teachings playlist, there's this video right here where I explain, yeah, you can tell that they're not really twin flames because they have a beautiful romantic connection. It's emotionally based. They're what people call soulmates. And they heard the term twin flame and they just thought it sounded cute and endearing and romantic. I've had friends and family where I tell them what I do for a living and they go, "Oh, that sounds nice. I want to meet my twin flame." Yeah. Or they look at their partner and they look at each other and they go, "Oh, maybe that's what we are." And I'm like, "Did you guys have a dark night of the soul and the running and chasing and the desperation and the sleepless nights and you're crying yourself to sleep every night, followed by a deluge of highly paranormal spiritual phenomenon like leaving your body and psychic intuition through the heart and kundalini and seeing God, like in a lot. It's like a tornado of weird paranormal experiences after the initial breakup." And they go, "No." And I go, "Okay, you're soulmates." And that's the thing is, uh, that's not what happened. That's not what happened to Elizabeth and Mark, guys. They're just lovers. They were just soulmates. They were, and soulmates is subjective. There's not really any such thing as a soulmate because a soulmate could be a friend or a family or anybody. And maybe you guys have reincarnated several lifetimes together. You hear stories about people who switch roles. Like one life, you were my dad, and in the next life, I was the dad, stuff like that, friends. And they reincarnate together many times. I mean, maybe you can prove some of that stuff. There's some very compelling case studies that can be talked about. I've made videos about this. If you want a quick crash course, I've got a resource for that too. If you go to Twin Flame Science here, and I go, the science behind the soul and reincarnation, and I explain, the soul must be a wave, like a probability wave, right? Like you think like the double slit experiment. essentially what the soul would be. And at the beginning, I debunk the notion that there's no evidence for reincarnation. So you might go check that out too. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about reincarnating with another soul. I'm talking about it's your soul. You don't reincarnate with your twin flame, guys. You maybe have reincarnated simultaneously in the past, maybe, so that you had the same situation where you met some person who is another incarnation of your soul. Sure. Right? So, very different. Very, very different. Your twin flame is you. Everybody else is just everybody else. But this isn't even that. This isn't even what that is. And you guys, this goes even further back. I've been reading a book called A Romance of Two Worlds. Here, can I, hold on. Is it going to let me do this? Hold on one second, guys. Let me show you these books I've been looking at. You might think this is pretty fascinating. Oh, there we go. Let's see. Okay. Whoops, that's not what I want. Sorry, hold on one second, guys. I got to get my screen set up. So I want to show you these books. Okay, so this is my Kindle. Um, so Leora, I can't figure out. It's a little bit closer to what I teach, but there's a lot of fluff and new agey stuff in there. Um, so I don't know. It'd be like if you followed Leora's teachings, it'd be like an airplane. Here's the analogy I use for a person like her. Think of an airplane trying to take off, but you've glued like a bunch of lead weights to it. And it's like skidding down the runway and there's smoke coming off the tires and it barely takes off and it might even crash. Take that shit off of there. You don't need that stuff. Right? And that's kind of the way that is. Now, that's not really what I wanted to talk about. This first one here, it's called A Romance of Two Worlds by Marie Corelli. And this book was published in 1886. That's the first time anybody ever said the words twin flames. And it's a philosophical book. Here's the problem. She never ever talks about twin flames are the same soul. She never ever uses the words separation or union in the context of twin flames. Unveiled Mysteries by Godfré Ray King. And then The Magic Presence, same author, is where Mark Prophet, Elizabeth Clare Prophet's husband, and Elizabeth herself too, right? That's where they got the idea for twin flames from, okay? It was from those two books by Godfré Ray King. And I got the books on Kindle so that I could do like a search. And I'm reading the whole books too. I haven't finished reading them yet, but I did do like you know how you can search for keywords? And they have the words twin rays in these two books many times. But again, the words separation and union in the context of twin flames, it's nowhere to be found in those books. The word separation is in those books, but he's using the word separation in the correct spiritual context. Remember I showed you Ram Dass earlier, and he's not the only one. Eckhart Tolle, he uses the word separation to describe the ego mind. Rupert Spira, and he'll even refer to the ego mind as the separate self. So this is the word separation has been in use for quite a while, guys, in the spiritual context to describe the way the mind perceives everything, the separateness. And then union or unity, same thing. But I can't find those words at all in these books at all, you guys. It's not there. Other than, again, they use the word separation in the correct context, and they're not talking about twin flames at all. Every sentence where the word separation is used in these two books by Godfrey Ray King has nothing to do with twin flames. All he's talking about is your relationship to God. That's it. And then they also talk about twin rays in those books. So here's the predicament. Here's the predicament, you guys. You've got the woo woo new age stuff about mission and healing, which came from those guys, those books that I just showed you. Elizabeth and Mark Prophet took those teachings and ran with them all the way into the 1980s and 90s. This is her book. But nowhere are they talking about separation, union, and detaching as something you could do with your twin flame in any way, shape, or form, whether it be a state of consciousness or a relationship status. So that's like, how did those words end up in the twin flame community? That's what I don't understand. That's always been my quest, right? Those of you that have been following me for a while, you've heard me talk about this many times. Uh, where is it? This video, hold on. This video right here. Right? This one again, which is where I spell out like, okay, I feel like I'm an internet archaeologist or something because I see everybody in the so-called twin flame community using that terminology. They're using it the wrong way. They think it's a relationship status with their twin flame, but it is not. And ironically, if you find out the teachings that those words were originally talking about, the real meaning of those words in the spiritual context, and take that teaching and apply it to your twin flame, you still get a result. Cause and effect, remember? So it's as though the fingerprints of some unknown person are all over the so-called twin flame community. It's been such a mystery to me. Who figured it out? I wasn't the first, but I see their fingerprints. The true twin flame teachings are right under your nose, you guys. You're just using the words the wrong way. Those aren't relationship statuses. Those are states of consciousness. But still, how did those words make their way into the modern twin flame community? How? Somebody figured it out. Those are the true twin flame teachings. They do work. I don't know. And I've done this literature research. I've gone all the way back to the beginning. The first time anybody ever mentioned the words twin flames was that book. Here, I'll show you again. This book here, A Romance of Two Worlds. I don't know, guys. I'm going to read the books. Maybe there's something in there. I don't know. Now, here's the other problem, and this is a big problem. Elizabeth Clare Prophet, she started essentially a cult. And fortunately, nothing really bad happened. So there's that. That's a good thing. But here's what did happen. So she thinks she's on a twin flame mission. This is where twin flame mission came from. So next time somebody tells you you need to do your mission and that twin flames have a mission, remember what I'm about to share with you, because that teaching came from a cult, guys. Or divine masculine needs to awaken and heal. And again, these two, Elizabeth and Mark, they weren't twin flames. This is the fake, not actually real twin. And actually, I don't know, maybe we'll have to talk about this at the end after I explain to you what Elizabeth Clare Prophet did, the church, the cult that she started. which is, I don't know, maybe the phenomenon that I've been talking about this whole time, simultaneous incarnations. You can transcend the separation of mind, enter unity consciousness, and this person comes back. They trigger a spontaneous, highly paranormal awakening. I don't know. Maybe what I'm talking about and what she's talking about aren't the same things. Maybe what I'm talking about isn't twin flames and we should give it another name, but I'll come back to that in a second. What she was talking about, and she does seem to say that twin flames are the same soul in here, but she uses the soul splitting hypothesis, which again, there's no like evidence that that's how that works. And also, there's no like known laws of physics to explain how that would work. We'll come back to that. Here's what she did. She started a church called the Church of Universal and Triumphant. And I believe Mark actually kind of started that. It was supposed to be an extension of the teachings from this Godfrey Ray King. And originally, Godfrey Ray King and I think his wife, they started an organization called I Am Action or something like that, right? And if I'm not mistaken, it was Mark Prophet and Elizabeth Prophet that viewed themselves as we're going to carry that forward, right? And they started or rebranded the church and called it the Church of Universal and Triumphant. Now, Mark passed away. Elizabeth continued the work and she made a prophecy. And yes, by the way, her last name and Mark is really Prophet. It really is. Talk about a coincidence. Anyway, but she made also a prophecy, which eventually did not come true. She even gave the exact date. I think it was October 2nd, 1989 or something. I could be off a little bit there, but she gave an exact date when the Soviet Union is going to launch full-scale nuclear attack on the United States. And of course, that never happened. But to make matters worse, she convinced thousands of people to join her quest, her mission. And let's all go up to Montana or Michigan. One of those northerly M states. I apologize. There's a Wikipedia page. Just go look it up. I read the whole thing and watched some videos. It was Michigan or Montana, one of those two. And apologies for getting the M states mixed up in my head. But she convinced thousands of people, let's go there and build a compound. Oh boy, here we go. And she tricked everybody into giving her all of their money, millions and millions of dollars. Everybody gave everything to the church. Hmm? And yeah, they started to build and construct underground bunkers. You go watch videos, go on YouTube and type in Elizabeth Clare Prophet Church or Elizabeth Clare Prophet Compound. And they had tractors there digging everything out. Go watch it. Building huge underground cities, essentially, like a big underground bunker. Huge. And they had all kinds of like food supplies, lots of food that they were stockpiling. They were stockpiling guns and ammo and water. And it's everything that nightmares are made of, you guys. Really, really. It's everything I'm telling you. And, this is the person where the whole myth about twin flame mission and healing and your divine masculine is going to awaken and you're going to go on your mission together. That's where that came from, was this person. She started a cult. I mean, she was a nice enough person and everything. Although, if you ask some of the people that were there, they're going to tell you, well, maybe she wasn't too nice because she kind of ruled with an iron fist. And she also declared herself to be, some kind of well, prophet or an ascended master. She wasn't really like recognized as an ascended master. Um, Eckhart Tolle, he doesn't refer to himself as an ascended master. He's never declared himself to be one, but people assign that title to him. And every time I've ever seen somebody like at one of his seminars, they'll go up to the microphone to ask him a question and they'll go, "Hello, Master Eckhart." And Eckhart kind of just humbly, grins. He doesn't really respond to that. He probably doesn't love that. I don't like that. I've told people over and over and over again, do not pedestalize me. I'm not your guru. I'm not your master. You are your master. My job is to show you who you are. You're a soul. You're a consciousness. I don't want followers, guys. I mean, you know, if I've helped you in some way and you want to support me, great. You're welcome. But no. These two people, I just did this video, same kind of thing, guys. Isn't it interesting? These two, they also live in one of those M states. They do. They live in Michigan, right? And they're kind of doing the same thing, taking a bunch of money. The guy allegedly claimed to be Jesus. He really did that, allegedly, right? I think he said he was joking or something later when he got called out on it, but I don't know, guys. I wasn't there. That's, stuff that I've seen about it. I wasn't there. But, it's not very hard to say that those two are running a cult. And again, the woman who made up all the twin flame mythology about mission and healing and the soul splitting, which says there's no scientific law that you could point to. No, it's not quantum entanglement. That is not what quantum entanglement is, guys. That's not the same. That's an apples to oranges comparison. I've heard some people go, "Oh, well, quantum entanglement." And I go, "Okay, explain that." And they go, "I don't know, the soul splits, right?" Yeah, how is that like quantum entanglement? Quantum entanglement works different. Also, we're talking about a wave of probabilities, guys. The soul is a wave. It's not a particle. It's a wave. You're a particle when you come down here, right? Incarnating would be equivalent to the collapse of the wave function, right? Now, that your twin flame is one of your past lives is a much more grounded explanation. But then again, am I talking about twin flames now? Because this, again, originally going all the way back to 1886, right? So that book from Marie Corelli, A Romance of Two Worlds, where she invented the term twin flames. And then it evolved into this, which again, this has nothing to do with what I teach. I'm going to tell you there is no mission. You don't need to do healing. Your divine masculine, they're not going to awaken. You're not going to go on your mission together. There's also the myth about the 144,000. Oh, the twin flames are the 144,000. Dude, everybody says they're the 144,000. The Catholics, the Jehovah's Witnesses, everybody says it. Nobody knows who that is, you guys. And anyway, some of the best explanations I've seen for it have more to do with maybe it's some like state of consciousness or something, you know. The Bible is kind of ambiguous about it. But I think you kind of see where I'm going with this. Every time you see somebody peddling the myths about mission and healing, and your twin flame's going to awaken together, and you're going to fix everybody's karma and save the world. Yeah, it came from literally a cult leader who literally built a compound up north in the United States with tractors. You'll see the video. They had like Nightline with Ted Koppel. Do any of you Gen X? Any of you watching Generation X? Do you remember Ted Koppel? NBC? I think it was ABC? ABC. I think it was ABC Nightline. Interviewing Elizabeth Clare Prophet. There's an interview with him and her. And she, gets kind of defensive. And they're digging an underground bunker, stockpiling guns. They got into trouble with the ATF. For those of you living in other countries, that's the Department of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. And they confiscated a bunch of guns. And they even had some fully automatic guns, which you're not supposed to have, and a bunch of ammo and food. It just kind of looks bad. The optics. Now, again, nothing really bad happened. I don't know, you know, Elizabeth Clare Prophet. Um, yeah, cooler heads prevailed. I mean, she doesn't strike me as being like way out there like David Koresh, or Jim Jones. I mean, those guys were, I'm just going to say it, they were fucked. They were messed up, obviously. Jim Jones, wow. So, no, I don't think Elizabeth Clare Prophet was even anywhere near that fucking insane. Not even. No, no. But still, guys, convincing everybody to give you all their money, go live with me. I am a prophet. I am an ascended master. Give me your money. There's going to be nuclear war on this day. And then, of course, none of it happened. That's where the twin flame mythology is coming from, guys. All the myths that I'm always telling you guys, you got to let them go. They're not even real. That's not even really what I am teaching. Is what I'm teaching twin flames? I don't know. But there's this video. I always tell you guys, you got to ditch the myths, guys. This really, all this is, at least what I'm doing, the people that I work with, the people that I've coached, and the experience that I've had is it does. Like meeting this person triggers a spontaneous spiritual awakening, highly paranormal. It's a tornado of insane paranormal activity, and it forever changes you. Again, I'll link that article for you from Frontiers in Psychology. So, the phenomenon of a forced awakening is real. It is. Um, Now, I gotta ask, is what I'm doing and what this person was doing, and for that matter, the people that, she got the teachings from originally, so Marie Corelli and the other fella's name, um, Godfrey Ray King, right? Are they talking about the same thing I'm talking about up here every day? Because the thing is again, guys, I could actually take you through a very structured explanation about this phenomenon that I'm dealing with, and there seem there seems to be very compelling evidence that maybe something's like you guys could be the same soul. The eyes, that's another thing. The eyes, like you and your what I guess we're calling a twin flame, at least the people on this YouTube channel, the eyes, you guys, the brow. Oh my God, I've seen it thousands of times. I've looked at so many pictures. There's people in my New World All Star Facebook group who have shared pictures with them and their twin flame. Here, I'll show you one. Um, Hold on. Hopefully, I don't get into too much trouble for this, but anyway, the woman, she posted this in my public New World All Star Facebook group. And, they both have kind of the droopy eyes thing going on, her and her other self, right? Your soul is the true self, right? So your other self. There was also this one, it's kind of blurry. You can't really tell too well. You kind of can. This one's really obvious. These two, I mean, they look like they could be cousins, brother and sister. Again, these were published or posted in my public New World All Star Facebook group. I hope nobody watching knows who these people are. I'll have to edit my video and take it out. I don't want to get in trouble, but I just wanted to show you that. And again, those of you watching that have seemingly met what you feel is your twin flame, and you're in this strange situation and this tornado of paranormal spiritual awakening experiences going on, pretty unusual. So that's another thing is if we're the same soul, then it seems reasonable to say that there would be a similarity in the way that you look. And it's definitely, it's again, it's like the shape of your eyes, like around your eyes, right? The facial structure. Okay. The color of the eyes doesn't really matter. It's like the shape. You'll see it if you stack them like the one gal did. She stacked the pictures, or maybe your whole face looks the same, even like the other gal with her twin flame. So I don't know, guys. I'm just looking at this whole thing and I'm going, okay, over here, there's what I'm talking about, which has all of this. I suppose it's anecdotal, some of it, the evidence, but there's so much of it that I'm looking at this phenomenon and I'm going, well, I mean, there's at minimum some kind of qualitative research that could be going on here. So, if any of you that know the difference between like qualitative and quantitative research, okay, maybe you know what I mean by that. Some of the things about this you could say are quantitative. For example, the detaching test, where you get out of bed one day and their behavior changes the instant you have a shift, they respond to it through the ether or whatever, right? Is that quantitative? Yeah, I mean, it kind of is, isn't it? That is kind of quantitative because it's cause and effect. And then all the other stuff is a little bit more subjective, but you should be at least getting many of them. Kundalini, psychic intuition through the heart, which keeps coming true, and it happens a lot of times, 100% of the time. You're not like Elizabeth Clare Prophet making stuff up that doesn't come true. And it's usually like the people that I talk to in my group coaching calls, it's usually stuff like maybe something about their twin flame, but also stuff about people at work and your next door neighbors and your family. And you just know things. And it's this weird, eerie knowing. It comes through your heart. It feels like deja vu, actually. And it stops you in your tracks. And you're like, whoa, I just know that a woman with blonde hair is going to come in here tomorrow and start talking to us about vacuum cleaners. And then it happens, I don't know, something like that. And it happens a lot, right? So real intuition. Okay, so we got Kundalini, real intuition, out of body experiences, non-dual merging, so oneness with God, the universe or the divine, everything merging. It's this weird knowing experience, right? And Kundalini, real Kundalini, not hot and cold flashes. No, like a sensation of anti-gravity, energy shooting through your spine, going all the way up the base from the base of your spine, out your crown, and it's this sensation of anti-gravity, like you're being pulled up into the sky or being pulled around. And come on, leaving your body. And then yeah, you get like a bunch of repeating number patterns everywhere, strange synchronistic events that seem to be coordinated by a higher intelligence. And again, all of these things that I'm talking about, Kundalini, psychic experiences, leaving your body, non dual merging, the numbers, the synchronicities. This is like within 6 to 12 months after the initial breakup with your person, you should be getting a whirlwind, tornado, hurricane of all this stuff. It's like all the time, all day. It's insane. It's like you're in the twilight zone. And if you let the person go, they come right back. Now, this is very, very different from what Elizabeth Clare Prophet was talking about, wasn't it? Because if you study and learn what she was talking about and the people that came before her, apparently, it's kind of just a new age spiritual woo woo. And again, I mean, if any of this stuff was true, like that you got to go on a mission and your DM's going to awaken, and after they awaken, then you're going to go on a mission, then why isn't anybody in any of these Twin Flame Facebook groups or chat rooms actually having that experience? Not a one of them, not a one of the people peddling this new age stuff. about twin flames, not a single one actually has experienced their DM is going to awaken, their twin flame is going to awaken, and then they go on a mission. Not a single one. They've been sitting around for years talking about it, but find me one person where that stuff actually did happen. And then the one and only person that tried to do any of that stuff started a cult. So here's the question. Is whatever I'm in the business of trying to study and understand really twin flames? Because this is made up fantasy fairy tale stuff. Again, go look in these twin flame Facebook groups and chat rooms, and you're not going to find a single person, not one, or all the endless array of so-called twin flame coaches. And I'm not sorry for saying it, guys. A bunch of grifters taking your money, peddling all the weird new age stuff, which came from an actual cult with real, like making an underground base and stockpiling guns and everything, getting busted by the ATF and everything. That's where that stuff comes from. Find, find me one of those types of twin flames who actually are doing any of that stuff, going on a mission. Their DM is awakening and they're, I don't know. Which, by the way, a mission, let's just be clear, a mission, yeah, that's where you go knock on doors, like the Mormons or the Jehovah's Witnesses, or, some people, like religious people, Christians or whoever, they go travel to another country. They're on a mission. That's a mission, guys. And I suppose Elizabeth Clare Prophet was doing actually what you would call a mission. Kind of a weird way to do it, but she was trying to spread the word of her religion. That's a mission. And I've had people get in the comments on my YouTube videos and go, well, Kurt, I was nice to my neighbor the other day. Yeah, I'm on my mission. Really? So you need to pretend that you're on some kind of a mission and label it a mission in order for you to be nice to your neighbor? So before you met your twin flame and were activated to do your twin flame mission, you were a jerk to your neighbor? Or helping a little old lady cross the street? I mean, really, I've seen people leave comments like that in some of my YouTube videos because they're so desperate to cling to this ideology. It's an ideology, it's a personality type. It's not spiritual. Spiritual is consciousness. That's it. It's the experience of yourself beyond mind. That's it. And consciousness is not thought. It's not a personality type. It's not an emotion. So it is necessarily not an ideology. It's just being. It's just pure awareness. It's straight non-duality, consciousness. That's it. That's spiritualism. That's real spiritualism. I'm always telling you guys, read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Go watch the Samadhi movie, right? If you want to know what spiritualism really is. I'll show you the Samadhi movie. Give me a second here. Hold on. I got to get organized. Here you go. Just go watch this one. Samadhi Part 1, Maya, the Illusion of Self. That's spiritualism, going beyond the ego mask of self and experiencing yourself as this deeper and greater being of consciousness, which is formless. It isn't thinking, it isn't thought, it's not an opinion, it's not a belief system, it's not an ideology, and it's not a personality type. It's just being, and that's it. That's all. It's this nameless, faceless, emotionless essence. That's the soul. That's spiritualism. This is an ideology. This is a personality type. And this is the same stuff that's in all these twin flame Facebook groups and chat rooms. And this is where all that stuff came from. The Church of Universal and Triumphant, a cult. That's where all that stuff came from, guys. Not a good idea, guys. Anybody from now on, now you know. From now on, Anytime you see somebody peddling that stuff, you know where it came from now, huh? Is that a good idea? Probably not. And again, is what I'm dealing in and all this other stuff, which came from here, and also these other books, which Elizabeth got the ideas from, are they the same thing? Obviously not. But what about the label twin flame? Because the label twin flame is this stuff. But then what I'm talking about, we call it twin flames also. And again, the words, guys, separation, union, detaching, can be found nowhere in this stuff or the authors that preceded her, right? The Marie Corelli and Godfrey Ray King, right? Separation, union, detaching, nowhere to be found in any of those writings. Only the New Age woo woo stuff, mission, healing, all that. But the teachings of consciousness, the difference between separation, which is mind, that's what makes your soul person, your simultaneous incarnation, which is probably a better term for it. That's what makes them run. And if you go beyond and enter unity consciousness or union, which is consciousness beyond mind, the soul, right? They come back. And that does work. And we can observe it over and over and over and over and over again to the point where I've collected thousands of points of data. So I don't know. Maybe this is the thing. Again, I want to make sure you understand the dilemma here. How did those words end up in the online community for twin flames, which has nothing to do with what I'm teaching people? And again, the people that sign up for my program are having these weird, highly paranormal spiritual awakenings. You can do the detaching test and their twin comes back, twin or whatever the hell it is. How did the teachings of separation, union, and detaching get mixed up in here? How did that happen? Where did that come from? I can't figure it out because the words were in use when I came along 7 years ago. But those words, separation, union, and detaching, can be found nowhere in here. Nowhere. Neither can they be found here, anywhere. Leora, yeah, I mean, you could go look at her YouTube channel, but again, Leora, I don't know. She's dead. We'll never know. I I mean, I've had, experiences with people that have worked with her in the past before she died. Um, you can't find the words union and separation in the sacred keys. She talks about the push pull, more or less. So she's about as close as you're going to get. Maybe that's where that stuff came from, guys. Leora, I don't know. I don't know, guys. It's a mystery. Um, there's one other person that I've come across on YouTube. I tried to get her to collaborate with me once a long time ago, and instead of doing a collaboration, she falsely accused me of stealing her teachings, which, by the way, even if that was true, is not unethical or illegal at all. If you go to the US Copyright and Trademark Office website, it's going to say right there on the home page that you can't copyright ideas. Any of you people watching or students that have taken my paid coaching, you are more than welcome to go out and coach twin flames. And I'm not going to go, you stole my idea like a little kid. Because that's what a little kid does. And I was even coaching twin flames for at least a year before I ever even came across this person. And I can prove it. I've got tax returns, I've got customers, witnesses. The reason I wanted to work with her is because she was saying the same things I was saying. And she allegedly worked with Leora. By the way, she uses a fake name. and she's had to change her contract a couple of times. I don't know why, but if I don't want to get into it, but there were some shady things going on. Not the most ethical person, in my opinion. Some of the changes that she had to make to her contract because her original contract was kind of deceptive. And I've got it on paper. I can prove it. I can prove what I'm saying. Maybe that was an accident, so this is just kind of my opinion. Maybe it was an accident. Maybe she didn't mean to do that, but it looks kind of shady how she like changed her contract. So I don't know. Maybe somebody called her out on it. I don't know, but not the most ethical person. But she claims to have worked with Leora. And I don't know. I don't know, guys. Maybe I'll never know where these words came from. How did those words, separation and union, how did they end up in the online twin flame community today? I don't know, guys. I don't know. Maybe we'll never know. But I don't know if it's the same thing. That's everything I know, guys. That's everything I know about the origins of twin flames. If I find out anything else, I'll let you know. I'll let you know, you guys. If you have any ideas, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you found this video interesting and informative.